Welcome back to Inherited Dawn, a One Piece podcast.
Today we are breaking down chapter 184, Molehill, 4th Street.
And I just have to start with this. Forget everything else for 1 second. A gun that is also a dog because it ate a devil fruit.
We just had one of the fundamental laws of the world completely rewritten in a single sentence. I feel as though a historian just discovered a text that invalidates 1,000 years of accepted fact. It's a dizzying sensation.
Dizzying is the word. I'm a shipwright, a man of science and engineering. I understand gears. I understand steel. I understand gunpowder. You can't just feed a gun a piece of fruit. Where does the mouth go? Does it have a digestive system now? Does it need to be walked? I have so many logistical questions, and they are all breaking my brain. Super frustrating.
And yet, we saw it with our own eyes. It sneezed. An inanimate object performed a biological function.
This is the kind of chapter that makes you want to go back and reread everything from the beginning, just to see if you missed the signs. If you're on that same journey with us, make sure you're following the show so you don't miss an episode when we uncover the next piece of this puzzle.
And there will be more pieces. Oda doesn't drop something this significant and then just walk away. This isn't just a quirky enemy design, it's a seed. And I suspect it will grow into something that could change the entire landscape of the world.
Never. He plants these seeds and you forget about them for 100 chapters, then bam, a giant beanstalk of a plot point smacks you in the face. Alright, let's get into it. The chapter kicks off right where we left off, with Usopp and Chopper just barely surviving that first explosion.
They're at the southeast gate of Alubarna, completely dazed. Usopp in particular just can't process what he's even looking at. The smoke is clearing and the first thing that comes into focus is this creature.
And who can blame him? He sees Lassoo, this cannon-dachshund hybrid, and he's just appalled. It's got a trigger on its back, it's got a gun barrel for a snout, and it's wagging its tail. It's the most unnatural thing we've seen so far, and that's saying something. We've seen a man made of wax, a guy who pulls infinite snot from his nose, and a woman who can make any part of her body bloom like a flower. But this feels different. This feels manufactured. It's a violation of nature itself.
The other examples are people who gained strange abilities. This is an object that has gained life. There's a fundamental difference in the direction of that change that is deeply unsettling.
Exactly. And then it sneezes, and you think, oh, what a cute little, oh God. Out comes another baseball.
An exploding baseball. A projectile born from a canine reflex.
An exploding baseball. They dodge it, but then you see Mr. Four just standing there, silent. He hasn't moved an inch. He swings that massive bat and just connects perfectly, sending the ball screaming right back at Usopp. The sound effect for that swing is just, it's drawn to look like it's tearing the air apart.
Usopp manages to duck, which is a great instinct. He's surprisingly agile when his life is on the line, but it's not enough.
It's not. The ball flies right over his head and then just detonates. It's a time bomb. It's not about impact. It's about proximity. That is a terrifyingly precise weapon system. It's a two-person job that creates a moving, targeted minefield. How are you supposed to fight that?
Chopper is the one who puts it together. He's the doctor, the scientist of the group. He's holding a dazed Usopp and immediately analyzes the situation. He realizes the balls are time bombs. He also notes they're as heavy as tannin balls.
Which makes Mr. Four's power even more absurd. This isn't just a strong guy. We saw Arlong lift a house. We saw Krieg in his giant steel armor. But hitting a dense, heavy cannonball with a bat, and not just hitting it, but precisely aiming it like it's a piece of cork, that's a different level of strength. That's borderline superhuman, even for this world. He's not just strong, he's impossibly dexterous with that strength.
It suggests a level of physical power that exists on the Grand Line that is simply a tier above what we encountered in the East Blue. He isn't straining. There's no sign of effort. For him, this is as easy as breathing.
And then we get that quiet little moment to confirm it. Oda gives us a perfect show don't tell panel. He just leans his bat against a wall.
And the bat just casually punches a hole through solid stone. It just falls right through. No impact, no swing. Just the sheer passive weight of it is enough to demolish architecture.
Usopp sees it and his brain just short circuits. You can see the gears turning and then smoking in his head. He's trying to calculate, trying to find an angle, and the math just doesn't add up. The enemy is too strong, their weapon is too weird, and their strategy is too precise.
You can't out-strategize physics when your opponent is a walking violation of it. Usopp's usual tactics involve outsmarting his opponents, using their expectations against them. But what can you do when your opponent has the physical power to simply ignore your plans and walk through the wall you were hiding behind?
Exactly. You can't trick gravity. And just when you think it can't get any more complicated, Miss Merry Christmas shows up, bursting out of the ground like a mole.
She immediately starts berating Mr. Four for being too slow. The dynamic between them is so strange. She's all frantic energy, constant motion, and a screeching voice. He's complete stillness, absolute silence. It's a classic pairing, the fast talker and the silent muscle, but there's something more unsettling about it here.
She's the brains, he's the brawn, but it feels like she's the only brain. He just seems vacant. And Usopp and Chopper are just terrified to see her again. They remember her from the cafe. This is where Usopp's classic survival instinct kicks in. He just goes, "All right, Chopper, it's all you. I'm just gonna succumb to my injuries over here."
He literally tries to lie down and die to get out of the fight. It's played for comedy, but it speaks to the genuine, overwhelming terror he's feeling. He has assessed the situation and concluded that the odds of survival are statistically 0.
But you know what? I love it, because this is who Usopp is. He's not a monster like Zoro or Sanji. He's not a rubber-brained idiot with infinite courage like Luffy. His first instinct is self-preservation. That's a human instinct. But Chopper, bless his pure heart, just gets furious. He's not letting his friend just give up. He calls him out. Stop trying to die. It's the doctor in him. He won't let his patient give up the will to live.
Usopp is still trying to figure out how to even approach Lassoo. He's muttering to himself, trying to classify it. Is it a gun or a dog? He's trying to put it in a box so he can understand it, but it defies all his known categories. How do you fight something that makes no logical sense?
And that's when Miss Merry Christmas just drops the single biggest lore bomb of the arc so far. She just says it, plain as day.
Okay, but think about what this means. She explains, very casually, as if she were talking about the weather, that Lassoo is a gun that ate the Inu Inu no Mi model dachshund.
A gun that ate a devil fruit. My brain is still trying to wrap itself around that sentence. It breaks the rules. We thought we knew the rules. Rule 1, a person eats a fruit, they get a power. Rule 2, they can't swim. Rule 3, only one fruit per person. This adds a whole new chapter to the rulebook that we didn't even know existed.
They redefine them. It implies that the soul or essence of a devil fruit can be imbued into things other than living beings. And she adds a key detail. It was done with special technology. Marine scientists found a way to make inanimate objects gain devil fruit powers.
That name, marine scientists, that has to be Vegapunk, right? It has to be. He's this mythical figure we've only heard mentioned once or twice, this genius intellect working for the world government. This is the first real glimpse we're getting of the kind of impossible, reality-bending science he's creating. This is a super big deal.
It opens 1,000 horrifying questions. Can a sword eat a Zoan fruit and become a living partner, a sentient blade that fights alongside its wielder? Can a cannonball eat the Kilo fruit and change its weight mid-flight? Or worse, the Bomb fruit?
Can a ship eat a fruit? Imagine the Going Merry eating the Tori no Mi model albatross and just flying. Or the human fruit, like Chopper, and it just stands up and starts talking to us. The possibilities are absolutely limitless. A craftsman's dream.
And also a government's. Imagine the world government with an army of sentient devil fruit-powered weapons, a fleet of self-guiding cannonballs, rifles that can track targets on their own, buster calls comprised not of ships but living weapons of mass destruction. This is a game changer for the entire power balance of the world. It's a terrifying thought.
And Miss Merry Christmas just says it like she's reading a grocery list. She has no idea what she just revealed. To her, it's just a cool weapon. To us, it's a peek behind the entire curtain of the world. She tells Usopp it doesn't matter if he believes it, because he's about to die anyway. Cold.
Then she names their territory Molehill 4th Street and partially transforms. It's our first look at her devil fruit. Her nose gets long, she gets claws. Usopp thinks she looks like a penguin.
Which is hilarious, but then she just burrows straight into the ground. A mole Zoan, the Mogu Mogu no Mi, of course. It just keeps getting weirder. The battlefield now has a subterranean element.
Usopp sees his chance. The talkative one is gone. Mr. 4 is still just standing there. He thinks it's his moment to escape. He makes a break for it.
But this is Baroque Works. It's never that simple. They're officer agents for a reason. Chopper yells for him to look out, and Lassoo, the gun dog, emerges from a different hole in the ground right in front of him.
They're using the tunnels. It's a coordinated attack. She's not just digging for herself, she's creating a network for her entire team to use. The ground beneath their feet is no longer stable or safe. It's now the enemy's highway.
Lassoo fires another bomb, and this is where it gets crazy. The ball is flying straight at Usopp, he's bracing for it, and then it just curves. It veers away at the last second like a pitcher threw a wicked slider.
It's a trick pitch, and the batter is already in position. Mr. 4, who we thought was just a slow, lumbering brute, has repositioned himself perfectly without anyone noticing. He hits the curving ball and sends it flying high into the air.
Usopp totally falls for it. He thinks Mr. 4 is just an idiot with a big bat. He starts mocking him for missing because the ball lands a good distance away from him. He thinks he's safe. He literally sticks his tongue out and celebrates. Classic Usopp.
But it wasn't a pop fly. It was a ground ball. The bomb lands and immediately starts rolling fast, picking up speed as it goes down the slight incline of the street right toward Usopp's back. The initial high arc was just to get it behind him.
That is a brilliant, nasty strategy. It's pure psychological warfare. They used his own sense of relief against him. They made him think he'd won the exchange, so he let his guard down for that one critical second.
As Miss Merry Christmas says, popping up from another hole, he's not an ordinary cleanup hitter. This is precision. This is a calculated, multi-step attack plan. They are a far more intelligent and coordinated team than their bizarre appearances would suggest.
But this is why you need a crew. This is why you don't fight alone. Chopper, in his walk point, his full reindeer form, is fast enough. He blitzes over and tackles Usopp out of the way just as the bomb goes off. He saved his life, no question. A second later, and Usopp would have been caught in that blast.
And Miss Merry Christmas is watching intently from her hole in the ground. She immediately clocks it. The transformation, the speed. A Zoan, just like me.
It's like they have a sixth sense for each other. She recognizes the transformation instantly. There's a connection there that we don't fully understand yet. Is it an instinct, a shared understanding of that physical change? It's a fascinating little detail.
The fight turns into a desperate scramble. Lassoo is just firing off more bombs, creating chaos, and Usopp and Chopper are forced to just keep moving, to constantly dodge. They're completely on the defensive, with no room to even think about a counterattack.
Chopper tries to turn the tables. He thinks like a straw hat. He sees one of the baseballs that hasn't detonated yet, grabs it, and hurls it back at Mr. 4. Use their own weapon against them. Smart. It's a great instinctive move.
But Miss Merry Christmas is too fast. She anticipates it. She comes up from underground right at Chopper's feet, grabs him by the ankle, and holds him in place.
It's a trap, a perfect pincer movement. He's immobilized. Mr. 4 swings and sends the bomb screaming right back at a completely helpless Chopper. It's a checkmate move. There's no escape.
Except Chopper has more than 3 forms. He has 7.
He shifts back into his normal hybrid form, his brain point. He gets shorter, his center of gravity drops, the ball sails right over his head where his taller reindeer form was just a second ago, and he uses the momentum of the transformation to launch himself forward and attack both of them. He aims a kick at her and a punch at him.
That's the battle intelligence of a real doctor right there. He understands his own physiology perfectly. He knows the exact height difference between his forms and uses that knowledge in a split second to evade a fatal blow. He weaponized his own biology.
It was such a great move. So clever, so super. But they're just too slippery. They disappear back into the mole tunnels before he can land a solid hit. He hits nothing but dirt.
And Chopper has a moment of frustration. He thinks about how using the rumble ball to access his other forms, his heavy-hitting forms like arm point or horn point, would just take too much time. He needs to eat it, and then he's locked in for 3 minutes.
That's a real weakness. The rumble ball is an incredible power-up, a marvel of medical science, but it has a wind-up. It's like having a cannon that takes 30 seconds to load. Against opponents this fast and unpredictable, who can attack from any direction, including below, he can't afford that window of vulnerability.
They resurface behind him, looking for him, confused as to how he dodged. Miss Merry Christmas is angry, demanding to know where he went. And Chopper, in the chaos, is wondering where Usopp went.
And then it happens. Oda builds the tension perfectly. A shot of the mole tunnel, a sound effect.
From inside one of their own mole tunnels, Usopp erupts.
Holding this comically huge, ridiculous-looking hammer with a look of pure, screaming terror and determination on his face, he brings it down right on Mr. Four's head.
The panel just says Usopp's 5-ton hammer.
5 tons. 5 tons. We just saw how heavy Mr. Four's bat is, heavy enough to shatter stone, and Usopp just hit him with something that supposedly weighs 5 tons. The impact is insane.
Mr. Four just collapses, his eyes white. Miss Merry Christmas is in complete shock. Her jaw is on the floor. She can't comprehend how this sniveling, cowardly, trying-to-die weakling she saw moments ago is suddenly strong enough to wield something like that.
And this is the moment. This is where Usopp transcends his fear. He doesn't eliminate it. The fear is still written all over his face, but he acts in spite of it.
He stands there, triumphant, legs shaking, sweat pouring down his face, and tells her that people call him the Lord of Destruction. He introduces himself as Captain Usopp, the leader of a crew of 8,000 men.
It's a complete lie. It's a total fabrication built on fear and desperation and hot air. I have a feeling the hammer is probably 2 pieces of sheet metal on a stick. But it's the most brilliant lie he's ever told. In that one moment, he seized control of the entire battle, not with strength, but with pure, uncut bravado. He changed the narrative. He's no longer the prey. He's the captain. Super!
He weaponized his own reputation, or rather, the lack of one. They had him pegged as a weakling, as insignificant. They had calculated all the variables, but their calculation didn't account for the possibility that their information was wrong. He introduced a new piece of data. I am secretly a monster that has thrown their entire strategy into chaos. He used their expectation against them perfectly.
What a finish! What a way to turn a fight on its head! Oda is a master at giving the weakest characters the absolute strongest moments of resolve. This isn't about physical power. This is about spirit. This is about a man terrified out of his mind, deciding that he would rather stand and fight for his friend than run and die alone.
It absolutely is, and it leaves Baroque Works completely off balance. They don't know who they're fighting anymore. Is he a god of destruction, or is he just a liar? That hesitation is all the opening a pirate needs.
I loved this chapter. The lore bomb, the tactical action, and the incredible character beat for Usopp. Just perfect from start to finish. A super chapter.
And hey, we should talk about Oda's author comment for this chapter.
Oh yeah, he said he got a real pirate sword as a gift from a weapons shop manager. That's just awesome. You know he's got that thing mounted in his studio while he's drawing this stuff. He's living the life.
It feels appropriate for an arc with so many different types of weapons and fighters, from swordsmen to oddities like a gun dog and a 4-ton bat. He's doing his research.
Definitely. Now, thinking about this fight, that 5-ton hammer is obviously not a real 5-ton hammer. If you have a theory on what it's actually made of, we want to hear it. Drop it in the comments below. Is it a balloon? Is it hollow? Is it just 2 frying pans taped to a stick? Let us know.
I'm genuinely curious to see the suggestions. Now predictions for chapter 185.
Okay, I've got 2. First, the hammer bluff is going to work, but only for a second. Miss Merry Christmas is going to freak out. She's going to be screaming at Mr. Four to get up. That moment of distraction, that chaos that Usopp created, is the window Chopper needed. It's going to give him the opening he needs to use a rumble ball and go into a power form like horn point or arm point to deal some real damage.
So Usopp creates the opening with his mind, and Chopper delivers the blow with his strength. A perfect tag team. I like that.
Exactly. They're finally in sync. Second prediction, Lassoo is going to get taken out in a really clever Usopp-esque way. I think Usopp is going to use his craftsman skills. He's a sniper, but he's also a tinkerer. Maybe he'll use an oil star to make the trigger slick so it can't be fired, or jam the barrel with a smoke star or something sticky. He's not going to punch the dog gun. He's going to disassemble it. He'll find its mechanical weakness.
A tactical dismantling. That feels very Usopp. Okay, my turn. I've been thinking about the battlefield itself.
Let's hear it.
My first prediction is that we're going to see the full extent of the Molehill Fruit's power. She's not just digging tunnels for transportation. I think she can manipulate the earth on a larger scale. She might cause localized earthquakes or create sinkholes to trap them. The entire battlefield of Molehill 4th Street is her weapon, and she's going to start bringing it down on them, forcing them into a situation where there's no solid ground to stand on.
Oh, that's good. Turning the arena against them. The ground itself becomes the enemy. I can totally see that. A super dirty tactic.
My second prediction concerns Mr. 4. We've seen him get hit by the hammer, but I don't think he's out. As we've established, he is incredibly durable. I predict he's going to get back up, but he'll be dazed, and for the first time, he's going to speak. He's been completely silent this whole time, this vacant vessel. I think the shock of that attack, the sheer unexpectedness of it, will make him finally say something, and whatever he says will completely recontextualize his character.
Whoa, the silent giant finally talks? That would be a huge moment. I could see him just having a really high, squeaky voice or something, and he just says, "Owie!"
That would be perfectly Oda, a complete subversion of our expectations. It would either be something profound or something so utterly ridiculous it makes him even more bizarre.
Fantastic. Okay, that's our breakdown and our predictions for the next chapter. This fight is just getting started, and it's already one of the weirdest and most creative we've seen.
We'll see how right or how wrong we were next time. Until then, thank you for listening to Inherited Dawn.